Good morning, YouTube. It's Darth Cobain17 once more, and just the continuing adventures of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Their road trip continued last night. They were in Dallas taking on the Stars, and there were a few lineup changes. Babcock was tinkering with especially the fourth line a little bit. Um, who was scratched? God, now I can't even remember. Andreas Janssen was scratched, and they brought in Frederick Gauthier to center the fourth line, and they dropped Levo down to the fourth line as well as Tyler Ennis. So that was the new look fourth line, and they had a really solid game. They had a rough shift at the start where they got penned in a little bit, but after that, the rest of the time they just played mostly in Dallas's end and had a really good game. And Lindholm got sent up to the third line with Kadri and Brown, and then the top two lines stayed the same as other than Ennis going down to the fourth line. They had Kapanen still up on the first line with Matthews and Marlowe, which they'd made that switch in Chicago when Matthews and Kapanen hooked up for some goals. So that worked out well again. The Leafs had a really good first period, the first really good defensive period they've had all season. And the first thing they've done all season in the 4 games they've played is they were on the board first. They scored the game's first goal, which they did a ton of last year. So they ended up getting into a bit of a track meet with the Stars, just like they did with the Blackhawks. The final score ended up being 7-4. So it wasn't quite as close. Dallas has a lot of talent on their first line, but after that they don't have the depth that the Blackhawks do or the Leafs do. And so they relied on that top line of Ben, Sagan, and Radulov to, I think they got all 4 of their goals. The Leafs was spread around quite a bit. The big boys had goals again. Matthews had 2, Tavares had 2, Marner had 1. But then Brown got on the board finally, which is good because him and Kadri and Levo have not really scored in that kind of third line spot. Although they've had some chances and they're working hard, they haven't gotten any goals yet. So it's nice to finally see one of them get on the board, because usually once that happens, the floodgates usually tend to open. So it's nice to see Brown get one, and then Hainsey got one from the blue line as well. So Anderson had a not great night. He made some good saves, but then there were some other ones that were so he wasn't quite as off as he was in Ottawa or against Ottawa, but he still didn't look like his normal self and like he did in that first game, that opening season win against Montreal. So hopefully he can lock things down. On the blue line, the only change was Ozhiganov was back in for Marincin, who came in to play the one game in Chicago after Ozhiganov made that kind of blunder against Ottawa. But other than that, everything was the same. Leafs played a great game. Not one the coach will be proud of, because they don't like those high-scoring track meets. They always prefer a bit more defensive brand of hockey. So last night and then the game against Chicago was a lot more exciting for the fans, but also not the kind of hockey that wins you the Stanley Cup come the spring. So I know Babs will be working with the guys to lock down the defensive side of things, but on the bright side, that offense looks ridiculous, and the power play again had I'm not sure how many goals they had last night, but it's like you just can't take penalties against the Leafs because they put out those 5 guys, and it's like it's not automatic, but it's as automatic a power play as it gets these days. So it's something else to watch, the skill and the talent that's on that top unit. So yeah, so I think next game is a couple nights from now when they hit Detroit tomorrow night. Yeah, and I'll be back again after 2 more points are in the bank. Yay!